get into the whole thing and
the whole thing.
And you know what else we're going to get into?
What's that?
Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to Pixelate. My name is Kevin. With me, as always, Phil. And on today's show, we're talking about Metal Gear Solid, written by Raymond Benson. That's right, Hideo Kojima's Metal Gear Solid, which was for a while probably one of my favorite games of all time. Mm-hmm. We're doing it. We're talking about the book based on the game, and oh boy.
Oh boy.
Okay. Well, we'll
we don't normally go this long without something we can at least somewhat admire. This has been a rough year for us, is what I'm saying.
This has been a run of books. I mean, let's put it this way. The best book this year so far has been, there's the Halo book.
Yeah, that was great.
Obviously.
All right, yeah, maybe I'm being too hard on it. Yeah,
a little too hard on 2024.
Yeah, a little hard on it.
And Sacred and Terrible Air, which we had critiques of, but at the same time was shooting for a level. Just it wasn't playing the same sport.
No. There was something admirable about it, and when I say it that way, it sounds like I'm being a pretentious dick, and maybe I am, but it's just yeah. It
was playing tennis while everybody else is playing pickleball.
Yes, very much so. Tennis in France.
It's on the Roland Garros. It's on the clay. There's clay at Roland Garros, right?
I have to assume. It's the
clay. I can't recall. Are you Googling that right now?
I'm
kind of
looking
court
it up.
the Roland Garros is.
I don't even know how to spell that. All right.
Roland
Garros. Hector, Stade, Roland Garros.
Yeah, it's clay.
It's clay. Thank God we got that right. The courts are, it's characterized as red clay. The courts are in fact surfaced with white limestone covered with a few millimeters of powdered red brick dust.
Wow.
Very fancy.
Very fancy.
Very fancy.
I wonder if that gets into people's lungs.
It has to, right? Like, of course, don't they spray it down?
Oh, yeah, it's probably got to be sprayed down a little bit. So
I don't know if that helps all that much, though.
It's not powdering everywhere.
Right.
What are we talking about? Metal Gear Solid. All right, so Metal Gear Solid, probably one of my favorite games of all time. And it was it's a Hideo Kojima game. It is the third or fourth, depending on how you're counting the Metal Gear games, game in the series. Yeah, because I think there's one that's like not by Hideo Kojima that people don't really count on the list.
I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, there was. Yeah, there was like one of the Nintendo games was just like put together. I don't think he has any involvement in it. But I would have to actually research that a little bit more.
Who wants that?
Anyway, 1998 Metal Gear Solid comes out. It's probably one of the most, like, at the time, it's so cinematic. Like, if you think about like Final Fantasy VII as a pretty big leap in storytelling, with like the pre-rendered backgrounds and all that stuff, and how in depth the story was. So that was 1997. The following year, Metal Gear Solid comes out for the PlayStation, and it blows everybody's mind. It's a stealth action game, much like it's actually not that far away from the Nintendo or MSX games. The MSX is like a computer system in Japan. Which is what the original games were made for. It's not that far off, except now it's in 3D and you can like make more sense of what's going on the screen.
Well, thank God for that.
The main protagonist is Solid Snake. He's voiced by David Hayter, and the goal of the game is you're going to this island in Alaska to fight to get it back from this group called Foxhound that's taken it over, and they're gonna shoot a nuclear missile unless they get the remains of Big Boss sent to them. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, it's spawned, like, after Metal Gear Solid, this franchise really takes off. You got Metal Gear Solid 2 comes out, a few years later is massive, and Metal Gear Solid 3 is probably one of the greatest games of all time. It was the source of a lot of drama between Kojima and Konami. Since then, Metal Gear it's shelved pretty much, and Kojima is off doing his own things with, Norman Reedus.
Whatever the fuck this is. Yeah, he's doing
Death Stranding 2.
He's doing Kojima things. Yeah,
he's doing his things.
He's doing his things.
He's making Strand games. What does that mean? I don't know.
Nope. I don't think he knows.
I'm not sure he knows.
I think he's making it up as he goes along. I truly believe that.
It's a word, that's for sure. He's like really good friends with Guillermo del Toro, and I just want to imagine that del Toro just like nods along.
I wonder what their common language is, how they're communicating, like what lingua franca they're using because it's got to be
Spanish director and a Japanese game dev.
When you're trying to translate the surreal insanity that both of them specialize in, honestly, the more I think about it, the more I think that if something got lost in translation, it might actually make it better.
Yeah,
make it even more dreamy and nonsensical.
Even more dreamy and weird, because why not?
Why not?
It's you get and you know what I like? I like the Japanese developer befriending like a weird round little Western dude.
Yeah,
sort of like Miyazaki and George R.R. Martin.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
for Elden Ring.
I love it. I just like to imagine them hanging out and the Odd Couple theme playing in the background. Da, 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 da.
Just a spherical Westerner.
I love it. It means that there's hope for me, speaking as a spherical Westerner.
Oh God. So yeah, that's Metal Gear Solid. You've probably played it. If you haven't played it, you've probably watched somebody play it. If you haven't watched somebody play it, I don't know.
You've gotten the references. You've seen the memes.
You've heard the references. You've seen the box. You've seen the boxes.
Seen the box.
You've seen Solid Snake in Smash Brothers.
You've listened to your podcasting partner make I'm dummy thick impression.
Which, on a
episode basis.
It's weird. As I'm reading this book feels so separated from Metal Gear Solid somehow.
Yeah.
Even though it's pretty much the exact plot. It's like beat the exact plot, but it somehow still is not. It's like, how is this the exact plot but not right?
It's interesting that you say that, because Metal Gear Solid has always been like one of my biggest blind spots when it comes to video game stuff. I never played them. I played Snake's Revenge as a kid. Like that is the extent of it for me.
Yeah, that's the fake one.
Oh, is that the fake one?
Snake's Revenge is the fake one, I think.
So I'm completely out, because I didn't even play the original Metal Gear. I just played Snake's Revenge. I played the second one. So I'm completely out of the loop on this shit. So I went ahead and downloaded the re-release of Metal Gear Solid that they did on Steam and on Switch and everything, and refunded it about half an hour later. It's just too old of a game. It doesn't. I can't play that anymore. But I got enough out of that simple. It was more like an hour, but a simple hour of kind of playing through it, realizing there wasn't going to be a tutorial level because you had to, because these are the olden times, and trying to figure it out and okay, I think I see what's going on here. I did just enough of that to begin this book and go, this doesn't feel right. Like, yeah. It took almost nothing for me to be like, oh yeah, there's a big disconnect here.
Yeah. It's wild. I'm just looking at Snake's Revenge right now. It's just a hilarious story of like, Metal Gear was a success, so Konami makes another Metal Gear game called Snake's Revenge for Western audiences.
Yeah.
Kojima didn't know it was in production until somebody told him, and he's like, well, I should make my own sequel. And then the actual sequel, Metal Gear 2, Solid Snake, is released only in Japan.
I did not know
Later that same year.
I did not know that. Okay. That's very interesting. Okay, I did not know that. I really just thought I see, that's what I mean. This is just, I think Kojima is kind of, what I know of his work is similar to what I know of anime, in the sense that some of it is attractive. Some of it, you're not going to ignore art, just based on the medium or whatever. But there's something so over the top about Kojima's work, and frankly, most anime for me, that I cannot quite fully get in there most of the time. So yeah, that's
and you're not exactly a subtle man.
No, it tells you a lot. It tells you quite a bit. And once again, there's anime I like, and I'm sure there's a Kojima game out there that I would probably enjoy, but he's always been my biggest blind spot when it came to video game designers, and it might just have to remain that way. That's okay. Yeah. I think that's all right. I can't be expected to know everything.
So, Phil, tell me about the author of this book, which is a straight adaptation of Metal Gear Solid, Mr. Raymond Benson.
Well, speaking of people who feel like they shouldn't have to know everything, Raymond Benson actually is best known for his work writing short stories and novelizations and novels within the James Bond universe. In fact, he's written a lot of them. He has written, I think his second work ever was the novelization for Tomorrow Never Dies. He did, no, I'm sorry. The first publication I can find of his was a James Bond story, an adventure, a novel.
Sure.
The new stuff. It wasn't even an adaptation. And from there, they got him to novelize a lot of it and write new stuff, kind of pick up where Ian Fleming left off. And according to what I can find, he's pretty well beloved for it. James Bond fans like him. It makes you wonder what happened there, but he's just got the one universe in his head, I think that's what it comes down to. And this is his version of that. So he's done a lot of that stuff. He actually even helped develop the James Bond tabletop role-playing game in the 80s, which I was not aware that existed.
It's just amazing that the James Bond author, Ian Fleming was writing forever. There had to have been a guy in between Ian Fleming and Raymond Benson writing James Bond,
I have
right?
to believe, yeah. I have to believe that, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's so James Bond. I'm just like post Fleming novels. Okay, so the first there was Kingsley Amis, who wrote after Ian Fleming, continued writing, and then it was John Gardner, and then Raymond Benson. So Raymond Benson is the third after Fleming.
That's
currently
actually far fewer people between the two than I expected.
Right, and then currently it's a guy named Sebastian Faulks, who is the James Bond author.
It's kind of impressive. I mean, his resume is solid. Not only has he done that, he's actually written a lot of music for theater.
Sure.
Which is not the books, not the lyrics. He's written the music for a bunch of plays, including adaptations of Charlotte's Web and Clue and Alice in Wonderland. He's also written for computer games sometimes that I totally knew about, like the Ultima games, Ultima 7, The Black Gate. There was a Goldfinger game he wrote for, which that makes perfect sense. He also wrote for a computer game based on Stephen King's The Mist, which I did not know existed.
Okay.
I'm going to look that up now because I can't believe I didn't do it already. And because it was 1985. This is not a recent thing. So I have to. Yeah, so it's all text.
Okay. It's a text-based
kind of thing. Okay.
So
that makes sense.
He basically adapted The Mist into a text-based adventure.
Pretty much.
Got it.
So did that.
Original concept, Stephen King, designer/writer Raymond Benson. All right.
Yeah. And most relevant for our purposes, he adapted Splinter Cell. He adapted Metal Gear Solid, obviously, and Metal Gear Solid 2. He also adapted Homefront and at least one Hitman book. So he is probably someone we're going to come back to.
Yeah,
at some point or another.
At some point, we're probably gonna end up with more Raymond Benson. And I gotta say, like the cover, I mean, it's a solid looking book. You know, it looks good. But you throw the cover art. Who's the cover artist? You throw their cover art on here, and it's
anything would look good.
Anything looks good. This is
Is it the same person who did Metal Gear Solid 2? Because that is some fucking tight artwork.
This is the artist for all the Metal Gear stuff.
All of them. Okay.
Yeah. Like
that's some freaking tight work. It's beautiful.
Yeah. So you throw that kind of cover on something, and it's gonna look good. It's gonna seem like it's good. You got Raymond Benson on there. It's like, what? You got that cover. You got Raymond Benson, who's the James Bond guy.
Sounds groovy, right?
What could go wrong? Well, funny you should say that.
I'm glad you asked.
But before we get to that, I would like to tell you about a website that Raymond Benson is not on. But
thank goodness.
We are patreon.com/pixelitpod. I actually don't know if he has a Patreon.
He might, but he's not on ours though. He's not on
our Patreon.
Right.
Patreon.com/pixelitpod. 3 tiers, $1, $5, $10. $1 gets you access to Phil's book reviews, which every Monday he throws a little book review out there. Some are great, some are bad. As of this recording, he had a book that he was like, this is garbage.
I almost never, here's the thing, I almost never don't finish a book, no matter how bad it is. There's something weirdly blasphemous to me about not finishing a book. I feel icky and disrespectful.
Yeah.
And this book, I could not finish. And if you want to find out what it was, just throw us $1 on Patreon.
$1.
Find out. $1.
$5 gets you the ad-free feed, and $10 gets you a shout out in the episode. So to that end, I want to shout out Kyle Seaman, Ruthless Mutter, Jesus Loves You, and Friendly Friends. Thank you for being friendly friends.
We love you guys.
You can also follow us for free on Patreon, just to keep up to date on what's going on.
Yeah.
If you follow us for free, you'll get the early access because I post the episodes a little bit early on Patreon. If you're impatient, follow us for free, get that early access episode, and there you go.
Yeah, why not?
backslash shill over. And that was for you. That was for you, Josh. Fucking telling me what kind of slashes I gotta use.
Oh, I see where the problem came from.
No. He was like, you gotta, it's a forward slash. And you're like, well, let me tell you, they gotta change their names because to me, forward is the beginning and back is the end. So
I have always gotten those mixed up. Yeah.
For you, Josh, backslash shill over. Anyway, let's put this body in the icy cold marsh in Alaska.
Let's do it.
Thin way.
Yeah. All right. Starting chapter 1, we are introduced to Dr. Clark, also the unnamed president of the United States, also General Jim Houseman, and it is set some years ago. And they're watching in an operating theater the birth of a couple of children who are modeled after the genetic material of Big Boss. The material was extracted from Big Boss during his last surgery during the, quote, most recent war, which is a nondescript way of putting it. Look, there's a munchkin. There's a munchkin behind us.
And I got a cat behind me. It's all the small cuties we can handle.
There she is.
Hey, sugar.
All right.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Now get out. Get out.
The material was extracted from Big Boss during his last surgery during the most recent war, which is a nondescript way of putting it. How was the material extracted? What material was extracted? I don't know. How were they doing it? There's a hint of some of the strange politics behind this project, which is the Les Enfants Terribles project.
That's right. I love that choice. That is a choice for a name. I love it.
As the president demands that he be able to pick which one of them becomes, quote, ours.
Right.
After the president and Houseman leave, Clark scrubs in for the birth and thinks about how she hopes the president forgets that they still have more genetic material that they can use to create more snaky boys. Chapter 2. We open with
what a great start, by the way.
What a great start, by the way. You know, I hope the president forgets.
Ooh, yeah.
We open with a submersible being shot out of an Ohio-class submarine, which I believe is a nuclear sub, Ohio-class, if I'm not mistaken. We're in the Fox Archipelago in Alaska, and in that submersible, none other than Solid Snake Baby. That's
Thank
right.
God.
He's on a mission, and he's all caked up. You know, he's got those ass cheeks, and they're
absolutely.
They're ready to clap.
Just ready for you.
We flash back to 2 days earlier when Snake was awoken from his retirement by a bunch of soldiers and Colonel Campbell, who is his old commander. And Campbell's like, I got a mission for you, Snake. And Snake's
it's done in the most standard, like standard 80s, 90s action movie, unnecessarily antagonistic way possible. He doesn't get a letter, he doesn't get a phone call, they fucking knock his door down and like break in. They're like, you're gonna work for us. Like, okay,
yeah, come on, Snake. And then so he's got a mission for him, and they're gonna take a helicopter to the SS Discovery, which is Campbell's mobile headquarters. And Snake talks about wanting a hot nurse to check him out.
Yeah, it just, the weird horniness starts immediately. And he
doesn't get a hot nurse. He gets a hot doctor.
Yeah. Well, and I will say for the video game, what little I played of it, Snake got hornier faster than I expected. Yeah. He did get pretty horny. So, okay.
He is right into it. We go through the whole briefing. Here's the basics. Fox Sound has gone rogue and taken over an old nuclear base, and have also captured the head of DARPA and the president of a weapons company named Arms Tech. They're supported by an army of genetically modified genome soldiers. Snake's support team will include Campbell, weapons expert Natasha Romanenko, Mei Ling, the communications officer, and Dr. Hunter, who is the medical advisor on the mission. She was also the medical advisor for Foxhound before Foxhound went rogue. Campbell also mentions that Master Miller, his old survivalist trainer, has agreed to support via the codec as well. And the codec is like the inner ear comm system that they have. They all have weird interactions with Snake, particularly Dr. Hunter, who is like, LOL, maybe I'll let you see me naked. LOL. Which is in the game.
Yep.
But as we've talked about, you don't have to like, you can make it better. Like, even if you want to have that, like, this kind of weird, like, sexual tension between Dr. Hunter and Snake, I think, especially like in the game, you're like, huh. And in the book, it's like, well, this feels out of left field. You know, something about it feels a little more egregious in the book than in the game.
It's true. There's something. There's something. Maybe it's because you and I are old enough to remember when games weren't taken seriously in the slightest. Yeah. And so something like that kind of went past your radar a little easier. I don't know. It just, but yeah, you're right. There's the identical phrase still feels weird when you're reading it in a book.
Yeah. So, Snake's mission is to stop Foxhound, get the two VIPs out, but also, if he can, save Meryl Silverberg, who happens to be Colonel Campbell's niece. So we're back to present day. Snake is on the dock of the base, and he sees a man in a duster. He initially thinks it's Revolver Ocelot, but it is, in fact, Liquid Snake, the leader of the operation, who looks so much like Solid Snake. So chapter 3 can be summed up with, Master Miller, he's going to be a character. Whoops, he's dead or captured or whatever. Some dudes take him down. Chapter 4.
And I wouldn't have known. You pointed out to me while we were reading. I didn't know this. That's kind of a spoilery territory, isn't it?
It is. Yeah. That's a twist in the game. Is that Master Miller was taken out much earlier in the game, and someone is pretending to be Master Miller the entire time that you're talking to Master Miller.
Right. So just fuck that, I guess.
Fuck that, I guess. I mean, who cares? And by the way, Master Miller, in the book, he has not shown up at all on any codec calls. Mm-hmm. He's already in, like, by the same point in the game, he's already been all over he's already, by the way, also where 1/3 of the way into the book, which is somehow only 40 minutes into the game. Yeah. For those, I watched, it's like, not 40 minutes into the game, but like it's like the speed at which we're moving is wildly different.
Oh, very much so. Yeah.
So anyway, so chapter 4 starts, and we start with some gear porn about Snake's gun, which is a SOCOM, which is a particular type of gun, but I forget what SOCOM stands for. Do you remember?
Oh, I think it's something to do with the SEALs, but SOCOM.
Anyway, that's it. That's the gun.
Yeah, special operations command.
Yeah. Okay. Special Ops Command. Got it.
Yeah.
So Snake takes down a guy, and then he takes the dude's cigarettes, and then he judges the guy's cigarettes because he only smokes nicotine chemical mixtures, that's a fucking cigarette, buddy.
That's a fucking cigarette. It's
like nicotine chemical mixtures, as in like not tobacco but nicotine on top of it. Is that what you're trying to say?
Right. there was an episode. This immediately made me think of an episode of Parks and Rec where they're dealing with like the insufferable hipsters and everything, and they're talking about all the alternate milks, like almond milk and da da da. And this person's like, no, the next big thing is gonna be beef milk. And Rod Swanson goes, it's fucking milk. You're describing milk. It's just fucking milk. That's immediately what I thought about with this. I was like, Jesus Christ.
But wait, the cigarettes that he likes are also somewhat smokeless, which is not a thing. Like,
not really.
It's burning. Like,
yeah. I mean, I guess this is futuristic. It's meant to be a thing, but here's the thing: even if they
I'll
are
let the former smoker handle
right,
it. Go
right.
for it.
Even if these things existed, even if this thing does exist, it's not something most people have because he's a special secret agent with access to Q-like technology. So it would be like me having a secret, like, technology-based wine that's actually that's filled with nanobots and like cleans all of the destructive purposes of the alcohol out of my system as I drink it. And I hit someone over the head with a sack full of quarters while they're drinking a regular ass Merlot. And I go, I only drink wine with nanobots in it, bitch. Merlot? Sounds poor.
You channel your inner Paul Giamatti to complain about the Merlot.
Not drinking any fucking Merlot. Just that's it. It would just be. It's just what Raymond Benson has done is create a somehow new and even more insufferable version of a hipster. So it's impressive. I gotta give it to him.
This is not a thing in the game. Snake is just a degenerate smoker. He will smoke whatever you give him.
Good for him. Good for him. I don't smoke anymore. I still miss it. But I know it's better to not be a smoker. But if you smoke and you like it, good for you. Keep doing it. I don't give a shit. It was just the right choice for me.
Good for you. Good for you.
Yeah. Good for you.
You're not going to be one of the. You should stop smoking. You're like,
fuck
no,
that. No.
You enjoying your moments with your friends?
You're enjoying it? Knock yourself out. I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit. I'm happy for you. They're delicious. All right. They're good. I like them. And that's why I can't have them. But that was my choice. And I'm not gonna push that on anybody else. All right.
This
episode rant ended.
This episode of Pixelant is brought to you by Lucky Strikes. They're toasted.
And they taste better when you're toasted.
Are Lucky Strikes still a thing?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah. They were kind of on their way out there, and then Mad Men came in, and I think they might be back on their way out again. I don't see them very often. Of course, I don't see smokers very often. That is a dying breed now.
Yeah.
Poor choice of words. or an incredibly appropriate choice. I don't know. Depends how you look at it.
They tip your waitresses, kids. Yeah, we have fun. So anyway, Snake takes the cigarettes.
Takes them. Yeah.
Dr. Hunter chimes in to mention that the genome soldiers have antifreeze peptides in their blood as well, and also have better than normal hearing and vision. The colonel mentions that 2 F-16s have been scrambled to act as a diversion, and Snake takes out a few more guards. One of the lines he says is, "Merry Christmas. Oh yeah, Christmas is early this year."
All right. This is the beginning of Steven Seagal levels of shitty one-liners. I mean, that's not even a one-liner. He had to answer his own. He had to punchline his own joke, basically.
Yeah.
There. It's a bad one.
My ass cheeks. Watches Liquid get into a Hind D attack helicopter and fly off to deal with the 2 F-16s that have been scrambled to act as a diversion. So in the game, when I was clicking through like the scenes in the game that are depicted in the book, one one of the things is like Snake has a stranger reaction to the hind D in the game because he's like, so it's like a hind D in the book or whatever, right? And in the game, Snake is like, a hind D? What's a Russian attack helicopter doing here? Like he's like actually commenting on the fact that this isn't, why is a Russian attack helicopter here at an American base? Like
it's a very specific observation. It's and a fair one.
Yeah. Don't get that in the book. No. We just reference that it's a hind D. So Campbell informs Snake that Anderson has GPS nanomachines in him, so he should be trackable via the codec. Chapter 5. The chapter starts with Snake taking out a bunch of guards through various means, as well as avoiding searchlights and surveillance cameras. He's doing his thing. Natasha chimes in over the codec to tell him that his thermal goggles could help him see mines in the ground. Snake takes out a few more dudes. He throws a chaff grenade at one point. I don't know. He keeps snapping necks.
Oh, yeah.
After a few more dead bodies, Campbell contacts him to ask him, how you doing, buddy?
Yeah. What's going on? Everything okay?
Everything okay? And then Snake sees in the hangar that he's in that there's 2 Abrams tanks in the hangar. Then he overhears now an Abrams tank is an American tank.
Yeah.
Which puts into contrast the hind D attack. Anyway, okay.
It is weird. It is that's genuinely freaking weird. One of the coolest looking tanks of all time, by the way.
The Abrams? Yeah.
Oh yeah, friggin' cool. Yeah.
And the Abrams will come into play later. Then Snake overhears a few guards talking about how there's another intruder in the building that's using stealth and has already killed 3 guards. And Colonel's like, could they just be talking about you? And Snake's like, well, I've already killed a lot more than 3 guards. So
yeah, but maybe that's all they found, Snake. I thought you were supposed to be really good at your job. Come on.
I
want to give them credit where credit is due. That's the thing,
Colonel.
Said, right?
I've clapped the ass cheeks of more than 3 guards. Snake, this is a sneaking mission. You should not be clapping ass cheeks. So Snake takes out a few more guards using his silenced SOCOM pistol, hides the bodies, and continues down to the basement. And we're going to continue after this ad break. Ooh. We're back. It's chapter 6, and Snake arrives in a small cell block area and has to sneak through the vents. Mei Ling mentions that Donald Anderson's signal seems to be nearby, and she also points out Johnny, a low-level guard. Yeah, Johnny,
Johnny, I felt like he was probably pretty important. Johnny.
It was just
it's fucking
weird segment. Just felt kind of shoehorned in there. He continues crawling and sees a vent into Meryl's cell and makes a note to come back to get her. And then he drops down into the next cell, which is where Anderson is. Anderson is the DARPA chief. Anderson tells Snake about the torture and all that jazz and what the real point of this facility is. It houses Metal Gear project called Metal Gear Rex. Anderson then lays out all the MacGuffins needed for the next chunk of the story.
Yep. Oh, it is a waterfall of exposition. It's beautiful. I love it.
It's beautiful. I love it. It's folks, we love tremendous. We love it.
We love it, don't we? Don't we, folks?
Don't we, folks? So anyway, the keys, the codes, et cetera. Anderson also strangely calls the terrorists revolutionaries, which throws Snake off a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, there's that old saying of like the difference between a terrorist and a freedom fighter is whose side you're on. And that immediately
Yeah.
Sends your spidey
pick that one
senses
up.
tingling.
Yeah, you pick that one up. And as someone who doesn't know the full Metal Gear Solid story, so you're unaware, you don't know anything, right?
I know nothing.
Okay. So Anderson then dies of a heart attack out of seemingly nowhere. By the way, I forgot to mention, Anderson said that the launch codes were extracted from his mind by Psycho Mantis. Pin that. Okay.
All right.
Snake asks Campbell if he's been told everything, and Campbell says, well, no, you're not. You're on a need-to-know basis, and right now you don't need to know. There's a scuffle in the cell next to this one he's in, and out comes a guard, but the clothes look kind of baggy. It's clearly Meryl. She's knocked out Johnny. Johnny's been knocked out.
Johnny.
His ass is up in the air. As the book points out,
he looks terrible. This is not a good
terrible.
Not a good time for Johnny.
Not a good time for Johnny.
No.
So I mean, first there was the crane kick at the All Valley karate tournament to the face.
Never got the chance to sweep the leg.
Never got a chance to sweep the leg. And now he's been crane kicked in the face again after, like, between the All Valley tournament and Cobra Kai on Netflix. This is actually what happened to Johnny. Is he fell in with the Genome Soldiers?
Yep.
And he got his ass kicked. And his clothes taken off of him.
Yeah. I think
Johnny
that
Lawrence.
much was obvious. Yeah.
Johnny Lawrence, everybody.
Johnny.
So Meryl accuses Snake of killing the DARPA chief, but she hesitates shooting him once she thinks that he's liquid, because he looks like liquid.
Right.
3 more soldiers arrive. Do you get it yet?
Yeah, I'm following it. Pretty fucking stupid. Yeah, I got it.
It's like, we're gonna put this scene at the beginning where about the babies. And God, he looks like you, Snake. He could be your brother.
He could be my brother.
Thanks, Frankie. Foreshadowing.
Yeah.
Then, so a bunch of soldiers arrive, and she hesitates shooting them. And she has the safety on, and Snake just kills them really quickly. And Meryl's like, all right, follow me. And then she leaves too quickly, and she's gone. And then Snake's like, Meryl, wait. And then he gets a psychic vision of Anderson dead in the interrogation chair. And the doctor is like, well, maybe it was because Psycho Mantis is in the area, and it's like some psychic residue. All right, that's fine.
Fine.
Then before the chapter ends, Snake mentions to Campbell that his niece is one wacky babe.
I know I shouldn't even ask, but is that in the game? Is that dialogue in there?
No, I don't know. I would have to look,
because that's not the Snake I imagined. I'm just saying, I don't have a lot of experience, but that was one wacky babe was not
one.
Didn't see that.
Colonel, your niece is one wacky babe.
It sounds like Casey Kasem.
On with the countdown. The Ghostbusters dance the night away.
That's right. Oh, rest in peace, you beautiful bastard.
Like Zoic Scoob.
Yeah. The underappreciated genius behind Shaggy.
Yeah, Casey Kasem. Chapter 7, Snake continues on through the base, taking the freight elevator to the armory, where he finds a bunch of C4, grenades, and so on in a pillbox. And then he blows a hole in a wall, and then he kills the 2 guards that come by to check it out because they're backlit. And they're like, he's like, you idiots, you're backlit. And he shoots them.
Yeah.
He finds Baker, the president of Arms Tech, tied up in the middle of the room with C4 strapped to him. He tells Snake not to touch him, and then Revolver Ocelot appears. And Snake talks about like how the Sioux were defeated at Little Bighorn, and they live in peace now. And I'm like, what the fuck, man?
What?
What?
They barely live at all. Okay.
Come on, man. Ocelot talks about how he met his dad, Big Boss, back in the 60s, and they had a duel back then. And then they're going to duel again. Ocelot and Snake have a duel while Snake tries to take the gunfight like in the direction away from Baker. And after several pages of boss fights, several pages of them just shooting at each other and missing, the fight ends with Ocelot's hand getting chopped off by a cyborg ninja.
What? It's the coolest part of the fucking book.
Action figure. Cyborg ninja. Ocelot flees, bleeding heavily. Obviously, he no longer has his right hand. Snake tries to attend to Baker, but the cyborg, who has no name, believes that he needs to fight to get out of the agony that he's feeling. Meanwhile, Dr. Hunter clearly knows something more about the cyborg than she's letting on and has a minor panic attack. Chapter 8, Snake and the cyborg ninja fight for several pages. Snake trying to convince him that he's not the enemy. Eventually, the ninja seemingly snaps out of it and then makes an escape. Snake turns to helping President Baker, and Baker tells him Meryl's Kodak number and also mentions that he gave up the launch code willingly from torture, but Psycho Mantis could not get it out of him because he has surgical implants in his brain that shield him from psychics. This kind of conflicts with what director Anderson said, because Anderson's like, oh yeah, Psycho Mantis just got it out of me. Yeah. So, Baker says, Baker also talks about how like the Foxhound people, and he's like the right-hand man is Decoy Octopus and all that fun stuff. Baker says the ninja is one of Foxhound's secret projects and asks he's like, go ask Dr. Hunter about it when you get a chance, and that you need to go find Otacon, his real name is Hal Emmerich, and he's the weapon designer for Metal Gear Rex. Baker also gives Snake a data disk to give to Jim Hausman. Baker then dies of another sus heart attack, blaming those bastards at the Pentagon. So it's wild, okay?
Yeah,
all right.
Yeah, it is.
So this is a book, right? And you would think that it would have more room to explore some of the ideas in the game.
Absolutely.
In the game, there is an entire chunk cut out right here from the game where Baker and Snake talk about nuclear proliferation after the end of the Cold War and how that created the Metal Gear program. There is an entire thing about the geopolitics of nuclear weapons and like, you know, capitalism and liberalism and things like that are
Kevin,
just...
I'm not an expert on this game series, but that sounds kind of important.
It's the Metal Gear game. Yeah. Metal Gear games they're nothing if not overtly goddamn political about the military industrial complex. Their entire thing the entire game series is like a big old anti-military industrial complex game franchise. And it's like, well, we're going to cut that part out in the adaptation. Not important.
Yeah. I heard someone on a message board say that games are too political nowadays, so I just took it in my own hands.
Yeah. Give me my Stellar Blade.
Jesus.
# free Stellar Blade.
That poor game.
Poor game.
I feel bad for the game. I honestly do. It just
needs to be freed. I see that, like, Reddit has been serving me this Stellar Blade subreddit for some reason. I'm not in it, but it's just giving it to me on the main. And the posts in that subreddit, they make me want to collapse into a singularity with cringe. Like, they make they make like it's like a tiny black hole opens inside, localized only where I am, and I just collapse into it. Yeah. And vanish. Nobody will know. And I just cringed into a singularity.
Yeah. Yeah. It's I don't know much about the game. I've looked it over. I've looked over the argument, if you will, and it doesn't look like a great game. It doesn't look like a bad game. But I can tell you that there is never an instance like this one where the other side doesn't just completely embarrass themselves with the fucking dog they put in the fight. And it's like, this is okay. Like this looks like a bullet time game. This is 7 out of 10. Like just fine.
It's an okay. Metacritic has it an 82 right now.
No, that doesn't look bad. But it deserves a better fan base, I have to say. if your whole thing, because it's just such a superficial thing to go fucking bug fuck over a game for. It's like I can almost see your pussy. But guys.
It's not about the boobies. It's about the censorship. It's about the principle of the thing. Two very huge principles.
Very just big. Voluptuous principles.
Huge tracts of lands.
Oh, those poor nerds. I'm just starting to feel sorry for them now. It's not even funny anymore.
It's rough. It is just, I can't muster up the same I don't have the anger. I just have the pity. And I just wish they weren't responsible for anything ever in the world. But like it's like just take the toys away from them, or give them their toys and take the keys away from them. Like, okay, you guys can,
here you go,
have your little booby games over there.
There you go, have fun.
That's the extent of what they can handle.
Having trouble finding them? I cannot go through. I don't bother.
I cannot open Steam without being advertised something along this.
Some of the most graphic shit I'm not a prude at all.
You used to have a series called Phil Plays a Porno.
Exactly. And I have never seen this level of sexuality on display in video games. It's insanity. Like, you're having what censorship are you fucking talking about? Because this is nuts. It's everywhere, man. And not just with like Evany and the web-based games that are just trying to steal your credit card information, like actual legitimate games with teams and gameplay, and they just so happen to have cocks and balls in them. And aren't we lucky? Okay,
sure.
Look, Honey Pop was one of my top games the year it came out. So I got no problem with this shit. It's just shocking sometimes. That's all. So, and I also just don't understand where the notion that these games are censored comes from. I truly don't.
Apparently they changed one of the outfits to be slightly less revealing, and that's where we are.
God is dead.
God is dead. We killed him.
Yep.
He cringed himself to death.
He did. He sure did. He sure did.
He just God looked down and just went, and then died. And that was it. And a celestial being died from.
And now I feel bad for God. And that's the most unforgivable thing you guys have ever done. You made me feel sorry for God.
You put Phil into a position that he should never be in. And
that's not fair.
I'll never forgive, was it Mark Kern? The motherfucker who has been leading these protests.
That schmuck. Yeah.
Grums.
He's been around.
He's been around forever.
He pops up every now and then. He'll some new bullshit thing for him to lead the charge on.
A game designer who is no longer a game designer because he's obsessed with right-wing grifting instead of game designing.
He's just a sad little putz. Just sad.
Yeah. Anyway,
Anyway, Metal Gear Solid.
Metal Gear Solid.
I guess.
Where the fuck were we?
I don't know.
Snake yells at the Colonel again for not enough information. And the Colonel's like, Snake, can you work with my niece? And that's the end of chapter 8. Chapter 9, Snake and Meryl have a heart-to-heart over the codec, and Meryl tells him everything that she's dug up on the place, that it's a civilian-owned base owned by Arms Tech through a dummy corporation. Dummy corporation. The clap of my shareholders is alerting the cards.
Fuck, shut the fuck up, Kevin. God damn it. God damn it. Fuck.
The clap of my shareholders is alerting the SEC.
I'm so frustrated at how funny that is. God fucking damn it.
For the testing and production of Metal Gears. And then Snake flirts with her because why the fuck not? He's a horny old man. Because she has model good looks. Also, I think she's only 18. If I recall correctly.
Well, in that case, bring it on.
Because
she's legal, so it's fine. There's nothing to be questioned there.
Yeah, don't censor Snake. They're gonna work together, sort of. Snake tells her to stay put. Also, she mentions that she has a key, even though there's supposed to be 3 keys. And he's like, how'd you get it and keep it? And she's like, well, women have more hiding places than men. Listen. First, I don't know how that would actually work, both from a physiological point of view. Just it's a key card, right? It's not like the key is not like it's not like a key. It's a key card, right? A key card. Like you. Okay, this is my. Okay, this is a card, right? But like also imagine it thick, like a couple nanometers thicker. And like way up there. And I just pray for this poor girl's cervix.
I mean, she's gonna get infection.
There's a yeast infection. There's some sort of there. It's not like, okay, say you get it up there. It's not gonna be comfortable.
No.
So I don't know what kind of exercises Meryl was doing.
I took a long time after reading that, literally just sitting there, trying to talk myself into thinking that isn't what they meant.
No, I'm 100% that is.
I came
what
around
is the one more hiding
eventually.
place?
Yeah,
that a woman. Yeah,
their sense of insight. I don't know. It's just, I couldn't allow myself to live in that world for about 15 minutes. And I came around to reality, but I don't feel good. It's not so great.
I don't think anyone feels good about that one. No. If I recall correctly, that is in the game as well.
That is a real bummer. I got to tell you, the stuff that I'm finding out that is actually true to the game, not making me want to pick up this franchise. Not making me feel like I regret too much.
So Snake also notices that one of the Abrams tanks are missing. We get an interlude with Vulcan Raven talking about some mystical bullshit. Is it racist? I don't know. It feels pretty loosey-goosey with the terms Eskimo, Inuit, and Indian.
And voodoo. Let's not forget voodoo practitioner.
And voodoo practitioner. He's a shaman who practices voodoo, and
we're going to take 14 different cultures that white people don't know a lot about and just put them all in there.
Half American Indian, half Eskimo, Inuit. So I looked it up. Okay, and all right. A lot of times people use the term Inuit as like the catch-all term now, as opposed to Eskimo.
Right.
But the thing is, Eskimo is the catch-all term, and Inuit is a specific term. And there are people who are not Inuit that you wouldn't. Anyway, I'm not an expert. If anyone is an expert on the first peoples, indigenous peoples of the Alaska.
Come on the show.
You know, let us know. Yeah. We'll talk through it. I'm curious. I am not giving this guy the benefit of the doubt, regardless of how he's using the term. I mean, I know it's also in the game. There's like, I don't know how hard it hits it in the game, but this guy is talking about a lot.
It's a lot.
It's a lot. So where'd my notes go? There they are.
Gone forever.
Well, my notes put on a cardboard box over their head, and I just couldn't see them anymore.
Couldn't see them. Yeah, that's crafty.
So Meryl helps Snake open one of the doors to the outside to get to the next building, and Mailing stops him from accidentally stepping into a laser grid, which would have closed the doors on him and set off a gas trap. Snake ducks and dives his way through the laser grid while Meryl heads off to the storage building against his wishes. Chapter 10, a man with a disguised voice calling himself Deep Throat chimes in and tells him to use his mind detector to spot the claymores. Yeah, Deep Throat.
Right on.
Yeah. You know, like people used, like Deep Throat in itself is a meme because of the original, right? But he chose that name because it was like the movie Deep Throat had just come out.
Yeah. Yeah. It was kind of like, it was almost like this weird SEO thing before there was SEO. It was like, this is kind of me disguising myself because it's such a ubiquitous thing right now. It's everywhere.
Right. Yeah. So anyway, Deep Throat is like, use the mind detector, and Snake's like, okay. And Snake makes his way through the mines and then is interrupted by Vulcan Raven and the tank. And he's all like, snakes don't belong in Alaska, which prompted me to Google. There are no snakes in Alaska. Yeah. And I was like, okay, fair. That's fair. Yeah. That's fine. Yeah. You know, did your research. Snake, after nearly getting hit with a shell, remembers Master Miller telling him the story of David and Goliath. Snake he needed to remember Master Miller telling him that story. He just, anyway. Snake throws a grenade into the opening of the tank, and it kills the two regular Genome soldiers who are manning the guns. This pisses off Vulcan Raven, so he hops on the gun. And Snake fires at Raven, but Raven's ducking and diving. And Raven's keeps unloading with the machine gun on the tank. But the tank machine gun runs out of ammo. Whoops, because there's no one helping Raven anymore because the two Genome soldiers are dead. So who's feeding the gun? Vulcan? No one. So while Vulcan Raven is fucking around trying to rethread the machine gun, Snake throws another grenade into the tank, and it blows it the fuck up. And Snake walks away like a cool guy. Yeah. We get another interlude where Liquid is talking to Vulcan Raven after Raven gets out of the wreckage of the tank. And Raven's like, I want to go get him. Liquid's like, no, he's mine.
Yeah.
All right. So what are you thinking so far?
It's not great. It's not great. But I am pleased to know that there are instances that I thought in my head specifically that weren't great, that are at least true to the source material.
They're not great in multiple mediums.
Yeah, they weren't great to begin with. So there is that. But yeah, at the same time, I also look at the structure of this book and the way he's doing it, and I wonder, where the fuck did you learn how to write? It's completely nonsensical. If this was just a paycheck or something like that, then fine. But there's so many random decisions made that show just not only a lack of understanding of what he's writing, but on how to present it.
Sure.
Like the little spoiler thing there at the beginning with Miller. It's so weird. It's just weird.
It's like, hey, let's just tell the story as linearly as possible.
Yeah. The game did a good job, from what I can see, of mixing things up back and forth and reveal and all that. And it's like he took all of that and went, no, hold on. That goes over here. And this
I'm
goes
going
over
to
there.
fix it. I am the James Bond man.
Right. And I don't understand. It should be very straightforward because Hideo Kojima is a very cinematic game maker. Yeah. Exceedingly cinematic. This should be easy as shit. Yeah.
This should be relatively easy to turn into something. Yeah. The other thing is, like, how does the author of the James Bond books somehow write an utterly charmless version of Solid Snake?
Holy shit!
How much were they relying on David Hayter's voice acting for Solid Snake? Because stripped of any voice acting, he's just he's a dud. He's a sexist, creepy man. Yeah, like when he says his like flirty lines, it's like, oh yeah, it's like that meme, right? Where it's like you see the hot guy talking to a lady, and it's like acceptable, and then you see the heavyweight guy talking to the lady, and it's like sexual harassment, right?
Right. It's weird, isn't it?
Yeah, just utterly charmless, and like the humor. Both the stakes feel wrong. Mm-hmm. The spycraft stuff feels lame. Like the combat encounters are, I mean, I mentioned the combat encounters. I don't really go into them because they're not that interesting. You know? No. Even the gear porn is not porny enough. Like we get better gear porn in the Resident Evil books than we do in this.
Yeah, they throw out like it's an M1 Abrams tank. It's a SOCOM, pistol, but it kind of ends with that. There's no delivery of any of the sexy details,
Yeah. For a guy who wrote a like Tom Clancy, because it
really makes me wonder.
Yeah. Like what's going on here? Because Tom, let me tell you, Tom Clancy was the king of gear porn.
Oh, sure.
He would spend pages just talking about what a fucking jet could do.
Well, it makes me wonder if there isn't a level of, because, when you're dealing with people whose code names are Liquid Snake and, Butterfly Knife Bandicoot and shit like that, I have trouble taking it seriously. Sure. So maybe there was that kind of disconnect where he's like, what the fuck is this? And just didn't really feel any need to take it all that seriously.
Yeah, I was about to say it does feel a little bit like a Worlds of Power like novel for the next grade level.
And we've already read the Metal Gear Worlds of Power book.
Justin Halley, the furry Solid Snake. I had to even check. I was like Raymond Benson. I went through the author list of Worlds of Power just to make sure.
Wasn't you, was it? Yeah. I don't blame you.
It's like, did they double dip or something? What's going on? This feels
why
weird.
Not? They were like, we loved the Worlds of Power one so much. We'd really love you to continue this epic novelization.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, that'll be it for that right now.
Thank you.
I think one thing that I do have on my mind is clapping my ass cheeks.
And we just end it with like twerking.
Colonel, what are you playing?
Oh, I like it. Good. That's good. Nice adaptation there, Kevin. Very good. Well, I finished Turnip Boy Robs a Bank.
Oh, nice.
I loved every second of that.
That's great.
There's still some stuff I could go in there on unlocked, but I think I got what I needed out of it. It felt good to play right to the very end. The sense of humor was fantastic. I just very good, simple, funny game. Really enjoyed that. As I mentioned before, I played Metal Gear Solid for about an hour. Sure. And it's not the game's fault. It's someone was the Games Journal. Alana Pierce was talking about Fallout because the game came out, and was asking like what one should you start with? Like what does everyone think that you should start with? And someone pointed out definitely start with the first two because it's easier to go forward than it is to go back. And I think, and that's just what this is. It was just an example of me trying to play an old gen game the likes of which I haven't played before. I don't have any experience with, and I was kind of doomed for failure from the beginning.
Yeah.
But so I also played. Speaking of retro, I downloaded and played the demo for Contra Operation Galaga, which is the latest Contra game. Which it's weird. It's because basically it's kind of a remake of the original Contra. It's got all kinds of new stuff to it. You've got a cast of characters to choose from and special abilities, and you've got the option of doing the one-hit kill, or you can have a life bar and all that stuff, and that you would expect.
Right.
It never quite rises above an Xbox Live kind of experience for me. It looks good. It feels okay to play. The music's pretty good. Yeah. But it never quite. I put it down after an hour or two of playing it and was like, I think I'd just rather sit down and just play Contra. Right. It didn't quite.
Didn't scratch that itch.
No. So that one I moved on from, and then my wife and I watched all of the Fallout TV show. And so I re-downloaded Fallout 4 and I've been playing that ever since.
Nice.
And just really enjoying myself.
Just building your settlements and...
Yeah, building settlements, getting more people into the Minutemen, ignoring my son, and ignoring my son. He does
both levels. And
both levels. He will sit with me. He'll sit in my lap sometimes when I'm playing, and he'll watch, and he was there when the opening, which is such a heartbreaking opening. Yeah. And it's like, oh, look, Bobby got shot, and look, you're getting taken away. There you go. And you look down, he's just going, oh shit. It's hilarious. He's a lot of fun. He's a great co-gamer.
That's awesome.
He's terrific.
He's chilling there. What do you think of the Fallout series?
Loved it.
Good.
It is. Not
I watched the
just,
first 2 episodes so far, and I liked it so far.
It doesn't stop, Kevin.
Yeah.
It from start to finish, not just as an adaptation, but just as a straight up television show. My wife is not a gamer. She has no context for Fallout. None whatsoever. She saw the bobbleheads and went, "Oh, you've got a couple of those." And I went, "Yeah."
Yep.
That is the extent of it, and she loved it.
That's amazing.
We had a great time watching it. Great writing, great acting, and honestly, just a solid adaptation. But even if it wasn't one, it doesn't matter. It was just
and the interesting thing is, it's the most in the Fallout timeline. Mm-hmm. It's the most recent story.
Yes.
So it's like it takes place 15 years after Fallout New Vegas, which I want to say is like chronologically, New Vegas was the last one in the timeline.
Okay.
I think. I'm not sure.
I'm not sure.
But anyway, that's cool. That's good to know.
The Easter eggs are. I'll tell you what. I don't give a shit about fan service and Easter eggs or something like that. Yeah. I did cry out, "She said the thing," when someone said war never changes.
Yeah.
But there are moments in the television show. It's not the people, it's the settings. The settings, there are certain places they go to that are so well recreated from the game that it's shocking. That I didn't think it would be something that I would remember, but it took me back immediately when we were there. And like the Red Rocket gas station and all kinds of, it's damn impressive. It is a damn good show. keep watching it. I do. Yeah, it's
it's interesting because it's like, so it takes place on the west, in the West, which is where Fallouts 1 and 2 took place. 1, 2, and New Vegas are all Western games,
West.
where 3 and 4 are Eastern.
Boston and Washington.
Is Washington, Boston, and Fallout 76 is West Virginia.
Yeah, West Virginia.
So it's an interesting divide as to like where the games, that it's kind of neat that they decided to go back west, you know?
Yeah.
Which is kind of where the whole series started.
Yeah, they went back to their origins. I think that was a good choice. Yeah.
By the way, I just thought about it. Wild that Ron Perlman isn't in it anywhere.
Not so far. No, that's funny.
I would hope he comes into season 2 maybe, because for those who don't know, the infamous War Never Changes line in the first game is Ron Perlman. That opening monologue is Ron Perlman.
Yeah. He'd make a very good super mutant.
He would make a great super mutant.
Yeah.
I mean, he's getting up there in age, so I don't know if he wants to, fucking put on that much makeup anymore.
Who could blame him at that point? He's like, I've got my nut paid for. We're good. Just fucking
I made my superhero movies.
Yeah.
I'm with a lot of makeup. I'm 74.
He's been doing a lot of makeup since the goddamn 80s. Like,
yeah. I'm 74 goddamn years old. I don't want.
Let him rest. He's fine.
He's fine.
Yeah. So what have you been playing, Kevin?
I have been playing. Okay, so since we last spoke, I played and beat Turnip Boy Commits Tax Evasion.
Oh, okay.
Loved
How'd you like that?
It's a cute little Zelda-like game. I had a good time with it, and it's just hilarious that the only interaction that you can have with any document in the game is to rip it up.
Yes.
It's like somebody gives you a love letter to deliver. It's not like you can't like cancel. It's like rip up, and you rip it up.
It's the only thing you got.
Turnip Boy. That's the only thing he's got is rip it up. And then I put in a. Yeah.
Sorry. Go ahead.
No. Go ahead.
It's just that in Rob's a Bank, you constantly, anytime you find documents or something like that you have to keep, they make a point of saying they're laminated.
Yes. So I did start playing Rob's a Bank after I beat, because Tax Evasion's not a very long game. I mean, you can get deeper, you can play it for longer, but to beat the game, it's not very long. I think it was one sitting basically, for Commits Tax Evasion. But Rob's a Bank, which is more of a roguelike, as you said, it's more Enter the Gungeon vibes.
Yes.
It's fascinating where it's just like every time it's a real document, it's like it's laminated. It just mentions, and then you go to and you're talking to characters from the first game where it's like, yeah, I know you ripped up my love letter a few days ago, but I want to thank you anyway. It's amazing. And also like the funny things where it's like you're talking to this like the old man Lemon or whatever, and it's like, I've been alive for 8 days, and you're like, it's just hilarious. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Turnip Boy, Rob's Bank, good times. What else have I been playing? Still playing the Thaumaturge. I think I'm almost at the end. Nice. I just had a bit of a falling out with Rasputin, so we'll see how that goes.
That's usually not great. All right.
Yeah, it usually doesn't.
Good luck to you.
Yeah. And today, I know Kat from Pixel Day will be happy to hear with the announcement that they're coming out with their second game next year. I've decided to start playing Paradise Killer.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, the Kaizen Gameworks, who made Paradise Killer, announced today that their second game, Promise Mascot Agency, is coming out next year.
What a great name! God damn.
Paradise Killer is a mystery It's a mystery game / visual novel, like social link type game where you have to go and you have to interview all the suspects. You can level up your relationship with all the suspects, and you have to go around the island looking for clues. And you have a little computer that is like charting all the clues and alibis that you get, because you're trying to figure out who murdered the people in charge of this island, which is the 24th island in a chain of islands that are supposed to be paradise, that were created after a war that humanity had with elder gods. And then humanity fought off the elder gods, but then a group called the Syndicate worshipped one god and was granted power over their fate or something like that. So they're trying to recreate paradise. They were granted immortality, so they create these islands, and each one eventually has some sort of failure. But as they go through the islands of paradise, they are getting closer and closer to perfection. But demons are always trying to corrupt the islands. So you get it, right? You get the...
Yes.
Anyway, you play a private investigator.
Let's leave it at that.
Anyway, the people in charge get murdered, and you play a private investigator trying to figure out who murdered them before everybody can move to the 25th island.
That's a gorgeous game, all things considered. It's beautiful. I'm just looking at the visuals.
It's got great music.
It looks really cool.
I think you would like it.
Okay. Yeah, it's saying that if you enjoyed Golden Idol, you'd like this, and I sure as hell liked Golden Idol, so that might be worth a look.
Yeah, it's a little mystery game for you.
Why not?
So, Paradise Killer. It's weird. But I love it so far. I've put in an hour, and I'm just like, wow, this is fucking weird AF. I'm here for it. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
So yeah, now I'm looking forward to whatever they're doing next. And it's this game called Promise Mascot Agency. Oh, by the way, everybody in the game has weird names.
Okay.
So your character is a character named Lady Loved Eyes.
Okay.
Yeah. And yeah, that's kind of and everybody's just like got names like that.
Right on.
Yeah, right on. Yeah. So that's what I've been playing.
Nice.
Yeah. So that'll do it for tonight's episode. If you can, rate us 5 stars on iTunes or Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever you're listening to this. Give us a thumbs up. If you're on YouTube, like and hit the bell. Ding that bell, bro.
Ding it.
Punch it.
Ding it. Punch it. Consensual.
Bop it. Bop it. Twist it.
Bop it. Twist it. Pull it.
Yeah, and follow us on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram and Patreon at PixelitPod. We're everywhere you go at PixelitPod. And until next time, have a good night.
Bye.